Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. If you're new to my channel, my name is Megan and I'm so glad that you stopped by. What we're gonna do in this video is I'm gonna show you all the different varieties of tomatoes that I decided to grow in my summer garden this year. I'm also gonna show you how I organize them from indeterminate to determinate tomatoes. Plus, we're gonna go in my garage and we're gonna plant them together. So let's get started. All right, friends, the first thing I'm doing is grabbing my binder of seeds. I place them in sheet protectors so that I can see everything that I have. I recently made a video on how I organize my seeds, and I will leave that in the description below. Then I'm grabbing my bin of seeds that I've already used to see if there's any tomato seeds I would like to use again or finish up. And then these little containers from the Dollar Tree, I put my seeds that I've saved in here and I'm going to try them out this year. So now I'm going to grab all of my tomato seeds out of the bin of seeds that I have already used and just go through them and see what it is I would like to grow again or would need to get more of. And here are our seeds I've saved. I'm really looking forward to trying these out and seeing if they actually germinate for me. Now, my binders hold all my seeds that I have not used yet, whether they are varieties that I've never tried or I have tried, but I bought multiple packs of. And so this is my way of looking for a new variety that I have bought in the past and haven't used yet, or if there was a variety that was in the bin of seeds that I have already grown and I need more of to grow this year because I really liked that particular variety. A great example of this is you can see I bought a ton of San Marzanos and Italian Romas because I love those tomatoes and they've done so well for me. I hope that's not confusing, but this is what has worked best for me. I also wanted to add in here a new software that I'm using called SeedTime. This is new for me, but I am liking it so much that I will leave a link in the description below if you are interested in checking it out. And what I enjoy about this, for one, I could make an entire calendar on just tomatoes, just like I did in my pepper video, which I will also leave that in the description below. I have an entire calendar for peppers and will continue to have separate calendars for each veggie that I'm growing. My next one will be basil and herbs, which is going to be my next video for seed starting. And it tells me when to seed, when to prepare the bed, when to cultivate it and harvest. It's making my life a little bit easier. Plus, let's say I missed a date, I could always move these around and it'll redirect everything on the calendar. Now, I am still planning to use my planner/journal. I love being able to have paper, pencil, pen, ruler, highlighter. It helps me to visualize my garden and journal what has worked and what hasn't worked. I just like to be able to have something like this to tell me when I need to start to prepare the bed, cultivate, and harvest. Even though going on my 4th year of gardening, I kind of know when these tasks in the garden need to be done. But when you're growing so many different varieties and you start to grow in multiple places, having something like this is very helpful because it helps me to stay on track with things and not to forget anything, which is a big thing for me when it comes to gardening. There's definitely something to be said about just having a pencil and paper and journaling your garden, whether writing things down or drawing pictures, which I want to continue to make a habit in my garden, not only as a reference, but my journey as a gardener. All right, let's go grab those tomatoes and go in the garage and plant them together. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just get my soil a little moist on the top so that it's not dry. Sometimes I will get the trays of soil ready, but not plant right away, just so that I have the first step done if I'm limited with time. All right, now I'm going to show you how I group my tomatoes and then show you each variety that I'm going to grow. So this first one I would consider to be my regular sized tomatoes that are indeterminate, which means they can grow very tall. Now, this first tomato is my favorite, the Martha Washington F1. This has produced so many tomatoes. It's a perfect size and they are delicious. Now, the gold medal tomato, I've never grown this one, so this is my first time growing this, as well as the Amana, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, tomato. I've not grown this one either. This one is new for me. There's actually quite a few tomatoes I'm growing this year. And then the old German, that one as well, I have not grown. And then the next tomato, I've heard wonderful things about the Abe Lincoln tomato, and I have not grown that one yet, which is why I want to try this one. And then the next one is the Marion. I haven't grown this one either, so we're going to try this one as well. Now, the next tomato is, there's just one, it's a regular sized tomato, but it's determinate. It's a bush, so it doesn't grow super tall. So I'm looking forward to trying that one out. Now, this next category is a smaller size regular tomatoes that are indeterminate. The first packet is from Garden in Minutes. It's called Moneymaker. It was a gift when I ordered the water grids, and I love that tomato. Now, the Sunray tomato was one of my favorites last year. It was the most beautiful tomato, small size, perfect for sandwiches, snacking. The Jubilee tomato, I have not grown this one yet, so I'm looking forward to trying that one as well. So the next category is the determinate cherry tomatoes, and these don't grow very tall. This first one is called Tiny Tim. I love this tomato. It did so well in the GREENSTALK and grew so many little tomatoes for me. This next one is Mariglobe. I have grown this one before and I've really enjoyed it, which is why I'm growing it again this year. And then the Floridade, I've also grown before and greatly enjoy this. They're just a perfect size tomato and don't need a ton of height to grow them. And the Gold Nugget, I actually tried growing that last year. Didn't have the best success, but had a few, which is why I'm going to try it again this year. Now, this next category is the cherry-sized tomatoes that are indeterminate, so they grow very tall. Now, Jasper F1, I have not tried this one, and I'm really looking forward to trying that. The white currants, I've never tried either, so I'm looking forward to trying this one out because the next one is the sweet pea currants, and those taste so good that's why I want to try the white currant. And then this next one is by far my favorite. I show this a lot during my garden tours in the summer. I love the shape and just the color of the tomatoes are so beautiful. And then our normal pole cherry, our sweetie cherry tomatoes. Love these. They're great for snacking, salads, etc. And then the white cherry tomato, I've never grown these, but I want to try these out and see how they taste. And the Mexico midget, I've never tried these and I'm looking forward to trying those as well. So let's go ahead and plant all these. Now, the first thing I'm going to do here is just label all of my markers and put them into the tray so that I know exactly which pots I'm going to plant the tomatoes. And then I'm going to show you how I evenly space the tomato seeds as best as I can in each pot so that it makes it a little bit easier when I have to separate the seedlings as they grow. I also want to add here that the soil I have always used and has worked for me since I started gardening 4 years ago is Bacto soil. I will leave a link in the description below of their website because you can't just purchase the soil at any box store, unfortunately. I just had great success with the soil, which is why I continue to use it. And thankfully, there's a nursery that's not super far from here that I can purchase it. But I have also used a brand called Kellogg's, which is organic at Home Depot, and that has worked very well in my garden too. I also don't want to forget the seeds that I saved a year or two prior. One of them, I think, is Principe Borghese. If I'm saying that correctly, it's kind of a hard word to say. But I tried saving them. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and just try it out. Now, here is a garden staple that I use when I seed start. And what I do is make 4 indentations as even as I can in the pot. And I have found this to be helpful because if for some reason I don't get a chance to separate them in time, to me, I feel like it allows the seedling to have a little bit of room to grow until I am able to separate it. It also makes separating them a little bit easier for me as well. Now, tomato seeds are very small and you do not want to plant them deep. You only want to plant them about an 1/8 inch under the soil, which is why I made very small indentations. And later on, you'll see what I do, and that is just brush the soil over or add a little bit of soil to cover the seed. And the reason I'm showing you this tape is because I had found a Scotch brand tape that you can reseal. It's not too sticky, which has been very helpful for certain seed packets that don't close all the way. And this tomato I had mentioned earlier, it's the moneymaker tomato. I cannot wait to grow this one again. It grew so many tomatoes in such a small space, and they were so delicious, and they were the perfect size for snacking, and they were actually perfect size for sandwiches. We really enjoyed them, which is why I'm growing them again, and will more than likely purchase more when we run out. And the reason you're seeing me write the word done on that packet is so that I know that there are no more seeds in that packet. And if I want to continue to grow them every year, I would check my binder to see if I had any backups. And if I didn't, then that's when I would order more of those seeds. I would love to know what you all are growing this year as far as your tomato varieties. Are you doing a variety like I am, where it's regular sized tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, any plum tomatoes? I'd really love to know what you all are growing this year. Something I want to quickly share about those sweet pea currant tomatoes. I did not grow them last year, but I grew them the year before. They are a powerhouse of flavor, but I will say they are very difficult to harvest. They grow very tall and they're all over the place, but the flavor is just so delicious. I actually took them and tried to freeze dry them. They didn't freeze dry very well for me, so I blended it and I stuck it in the freezer. And what I'll do is I'll add it to ground beef during nacho night or taco night. And when I tell you it packs such a wonderful flavor, I knew right away I had to grow them again. So that's why we're growing them this year. So here are the seeds that I saved in the past. I numbered them 1, 2, and 3 because I'm going to label the markers 1, 2, and 3 and see which ones germinate so I know which ones actually did. Now, I love learning the skill of saving seed as much as I can. I don't save seed from every single thing, but I do try to learn how to because I think it is a wonderful skill to learn. Now for my favorite tomatoes, the plum tomatoes. Now this year, not only am I growing my favorite tomatoes, which is the Martinos, the San Marzanos, and the Italian Romas, but I'm also adding a few new varieties to try out. Plum tomatoes are my favorite to grow because I not only make an amazing salsa that my mother-in-law shared with me, and I did a video on that. I will link that below of the tomatoes that I used from last year's harvest to make a large batch of salsa. But Roma tomatoes are just so versatile. Not only can you make sauces and salsa, but they're so delicious for snacking and for all types of meals. My first plum tomato that I'm going to be planting here is the Sheboygan tomato. I've never grown these before, but it's supposed to be a great paste tomato, ideal for sauces as well as fresh eating. So I'm looking forward to trying this one. Here you're going to see that I purchased the Sheboygan tomatoes from another company. I want to try out both seeds from 2 different companies to compare. And then that next tomato, the baby Roma tomato, I've never grown those, but I'm really looking forward to trying these because they're supposed to be a small size. Now that this tray is complete, I'm just using the end of a brush. That brush I actually have in my garden section to brush off aphids on my little seedlings. But I'm just using it to brush a little bit of the soil over the tomato seeds. And then I will get a little bit of extra soil to place on top of some of them because I felt like it needed more soil. Here, I'm just spraying the tops of my soil so that the seeds can get acclimated to their new home and grow. And the last thing that I do is place the dome over my seedlings to help them germinate, and then place them onto my seed starting rack. And even though this is in my garage and it's attached to my home, it does still get cold in there, which is why I place the dome over the seedlings. The next tomato I show is the Inciarte paste, if I said that correctly. It was brought over by a Sicilian immigrant in the early 1900s. It almost was lost, but brought back from almost near extinction from about a dozen gardeners in Chicago, which is where my husband grew up, and I grew up not far in the suburbs. So it's a little near and dear to my heart, and would love to try these out. And this next tomato, the Quadro tomato, is supposed to be a high yielding plum tomato. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying that as well. And then, of course, my beloved Martinos. Those by far are my favorite. They were the first plum tomatoes I ever grew and was very successful at. And I cannot wait to grow these again this year. And then the Amish paste tomato, this is the first time I'm growing this one as well. It is just another variety of aromas that I want to try for sauces and salsas. And the cream sausage, I grew these last year and liked them, which is why I'm growing them again. And my San Marzanos, I love these too. I grew these for the first time last year and they produced so beautifully, and I'm looking forward to growing these as well. These tomatoes I have not grown. They're called Blush from Johnny's, so I'm looking forward to seeing how these turn out. Now that we just finished all the indeterminate plum tomatoes, I'm going to now plant two different varieties of the determinate plum tomatoes. This first one is called Napoli. I've never grown them, but I'm looking forward to trying these out. And then the Italian Romas, I planted these last year and they didn't get super tall. They were wonderful in grow bags and they produced a lot of tomatoes, which is why this will be on my list of tomatoes every year. As you can see, I'm definitely growing a lot of plum tomatoes in many different varieties, and that's because I want to make large batches of salsa to last us for the year, as well as pizza sauces and spaghetti sauces because we use them the most and it would cut down the cost of our grocery bill. And I hope to see you in the garden this summer because I do give weekly garden tours. That way you will be able to see the growth of these tomatoes, how they grow, and how well they produce as the season goes on. So friends, thanks so much for stopping by, and I always look forward to seeing you guys next time. And always remember, friends, be encouraged, stay encouraged, and always stay inspired. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.